Hello, Bert and Mike. I'm going to try to show you how to handle some prompts today. I am going to session log this so that there will be a paper copy, but I thought it may be beneficial for you to also have this available as a video. So, here we go. Now, when I'm dealing with prompts, I generally first create them in the reminder menus. You could technically, eventually we're going to be going to FileMan to finish out a couple pieces. The main thing that you need to have is the GUI process. Otherwise, it doesn't really put the information in, I noticed. But I generally don't create them in the FileMan area. You could. I mean, it's kind of probably an extra step. I don't like to do much in FileMan myself directly, so I don't. So the first part I would like to go to is we are going to go into the BEH. From the BEH, we're going to go to REM. On the REM menu, let me just make sure I am session logging this. I am. On the REM menu, you're of course going to go to DLG. And just remember, prompts are just another form of a dialog, like groupers, elements, etc. So we're going to change view. From change view, I'm going to hit P for prompts. And there we are. Here's our whole list of prompts. We did have a training today, or last week, sorry, giving better guidance on verbiage. I don't think that was followed in our system because PR looks like things that, well, PR I know for a fact are things that I've built, but I also saw PR in here from things I didn't build. So I just use that same nomenclature. So it's PR, PXRM for national, PR for stuff that we've created ourselves. So I usually follow that same process. So I'll just do a normal thing here. I'll add, dialog to add. I'm going to change it to PR. Let's do like one of the examples. I'll build the first one for you guys that I did on the production, but we're trying to recreate here in the test server. I call it a PR results exam low. And what I'm trying to do here is set a forced value, basically, to automatically have low in it so that a person doesn't have to pick it. It just has it. Nurses, providers kind of like that when it's possible, just because it saves them from one additional click. Just remember, we have to weigh the automaticity of, or automatic availability of it doing it for them with actual clinical meaning. So if it's something that's really, really, really important that they're thinking about what they're doing, I tend to stay away from this, i.e. clinical indications. We don't do automatic clinical indications in anything, even though that doesn't really pertain to reminder dialogues. That's just one example of a type of dialogue in the system that we technically have a way to pre-populate, but the general recommendation is not to, because it really needs to be very specific to what's going on. Anyways, so here I'm showing you that I'm creating the new prompt. Hit yes. Enter. I'm not going to disable it. Of course, it's local. Sponsor, no review date. Prompt caption. You can put a prompt caption here if you like. I usually kind of fill this out, I believe, in the FileMan area. Enter default values, and that's it. Really not a whole lot to it. And if you notice, it doesn't give us an option for the GUI process, which again, I've noticed that if you don't have a GUI process ID in it, it just doesn't work. So, let me move this out of the way. Hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just looking at my notes because I don't work in a bubble either. Sometimes I have to look back at my old stuff just to kind of see what I did. Let's see. Before we record it, let me just make sure I do take you guys to the correct location. Now, when you're going through the prompts, I mean, there is a lot of options in here. And actually, if you notice, there's a lot of the same options that exist with any of your dialogues. But for prompts, they really don't do anything. They're just there because this is kind of a catch-all. It's in the file of reminder dialogues, which that's where we're going to go next. They're in the file of reminder dialogues, so that whole file encompasses everything. So, I'm now going to go to Enter Edit, Reminder Dialogs. I want to edit all fields just because I want to see everything. And if you do a question mark here, you'll find all of them, but I know what it's called. It's PR results, and I created it right there, low. So things you need to have in order for this to work, of course, is some of the most importantly is actually the GUI process ID. The rest of it's kind of just just niceties, and then of course you want the default value in there to make sure it puts in exactly what you want it to do. Don't really need a caption, at least as far as I know. The first thing we're kind of looking for is like number of indents. Just remember you can do number of indents to make it look or display differently when you use the prompt. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. But yeah. So let me see, where are we? Okay. Keep going, and I think our first thing that we want is the default value. Here you want the default value of whatever is appropriate for that object, i.e. technically this is an exam. If you go to the exam section in EHR, you'll find a whole list of different responses you can have for an exam. As I understand it, it has to match something that exists in there. So I always make sure that when I'm typing this out that it matches exactly what I need it to have within the exams dialog to begin with. We're not adding different options in that dialog. We're using what they have there, and this has to match what is in there. So I put in my default value. That will be fine. I know I said force values before. I don't think you really need to put that in there, at least not that I've noticed. Now the next one is prompt caption. This is what displays ahead of your pickable option. In this particular case, I like having it look nice and say exam result, enter. And let's see, I don't want to have anything in there. Again, this is not a progress note. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of things in here that really belong to other types of dialogues in the dialogue setups fields. What I'm showing you is primarily what's used in prompts. Now here is the kicker, and here's the big kahuna here. If you don't have this filled out with the correct GUI process ID, it won't work. I don't have this mastered. What I usually do is find a prompt that works and see what its GUI process is. In this particular instance, I know that the GUI process ID to be able to get exam results in is this XAM, sorry, X needs to be caps, XAM underscore res. And once I have that in, I'm good. Now I keep going down. I think, if I remember correctly, that is all we need. So there's a lot of stuff in here. That's it. So once you have your prompt built and you add in the GUI ID and all the other little niceties that are in it, when you add this prompt to, say, an exam, as I've shown you before in some of my other templates, it should function that when you launch that element for the exam, that it'll bring up the appropriate prompt for what you're trying to do and force the value of what you want inside that prompt. If you have any questions, guys, you can always reach out to me and give me a call. But I think this is a pretty good guide on what you need to do. Again, I will be sending out a documentation on this. So you'll have a paper form and a recorded form. Alrighty, guys. Good luck. Can't wait to see what you come up with.